Hello and welcome to the Blyssful Life podcast. Today, our guest is LaShauna Warren, the founder of Fleek Fitness by Shonna and the creator of the Body Flow Method. Our conversation today is going to be a dynamic one because she happens to be my business bestie, and I really love having conversations with her. So I know that this conversation is going to be one that's impactful to you and is going to help you see things a little differently when it comes to how movement impacts your health and how is a vital part of your self-care. So stay tuned, watch the interview. If you have comments, questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And be sure to connect with her after the interview because I think that what she has to offer is going to really change your life, especially if you struggle with health issues like IBS or Crohn's disease or any other digestive issues that makes it challenging to live everyday life. She has amazing solutions and she can take you from pain-filled days to pain-free days. Be sure to subscribe, like this video or audio, and leave a review of this episode and any other ones. Thank you for being a part of the Blyssful Life community, and be sure to check out our offers that are also linked in the description. Hi, and welcome everyone. Today I have my guest, Miss LaShauna Warren. She is as I mentioned before, she's the founder of Fleek Fitness by Shonna and the creator of the Body Flow Method. I'm really excited about this conversation today. So welcome, Shonna. Thanks for being here. Oh, and by the way, she is my business bestie, so we might cut up a little bit, so don't be judging us, okay? Uh, so welcome,
Absolutely.
Shonna. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
So much, Sam, for having me. I appreciate you and I appreciate the space and this conversation. So thank you.
Absolutely. You're
Mhm.
welcome. This has been a long time coming, guys, because I've been like, girl, you need to get on some podcasts. You need to
I
be out there
do.
to be seen
I,
because your message
I,
is important.
it is. It is. And I've been really camera shy, just really working on my message and just us being biz besties. And yeah, so it's a long time coming, but I'm excited. I'm
Yes.
excited.
And so what we do is parallel. I'm very much into tech wellness and helping women embrace radical self-care so that they can level up not just their business, but level up their lives. And so they can be stress-free. And LaShauna, I'm going to let her tell you more about her business and how she impacts the world and how she is healing people through her body flow method specifically. So tell us more
Or
about you, LaShauna. Who are you? Where you from? What you've been up to? How you get
gangster,
here?
all the things, right? My name is LaShauna Warren, and I am hailing from Brooklyn, New York. And I've been a native New Yorker all of my life. My folks are from the South, so I bring all of my Southern culture along with me along the way. I happened upon the Body Flow Method by way of my own pit of disaster and dealing with my own health issues, struggling with anxiety and gut issues, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, all of the things, and really watching folks in my family with Alzheimer's and all of the different chronic illnesses that were really prevalent in my family. And so I made a decision a long time ago that I did not want to go that route. And I wanted to educate other Black women who the condition to not talk about their illnesses, not talk about their mental health, not talk about their physical wellness or lack thereof, and to bring that conversation to the forefront. Like, it's really important. I waved the banner for mental health, physical fitness, and I designed the program because since I went through it, I designed a way for women to, without overwhelm, really come to an understanding of their body so that they can use movement, somatic movement, which is another component to heal naturally, holistic healing. And it is possible. Learning about neurobiology, learning about not just the brain, but the mind body connection. And it just fascinated me so much, Sam. Like, it really fascinated me to know that through sound we can heal, through movement we can heal, right? Through words we can heal. And as a speech therapist, so you see me in the background, I'm actually still here at work, but I'm a speech therapist by career trade. So taking all of those components of the things that I do the things that I love, the purpose, and just meshing all those things together. And God really allowed me to create something really powerful. And it's really time. It's time to bring that message out to the world.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
that's why I'm here. Mm-hmm.
So, based on like your story, you mentioned all the different things and symptoms that you went through, the illnesses. So,
Mm-hmm.
what made you believe that you could literally heal yourself versus a doctor with medicines or surgery or all the other things? Like, what made you believe that? Because I think it takes a certain level of belief to
Yeah.
really hone in and make the attempt to heal
Right.
yourself. Because a lot of times they just want to keep you on medication for the rest of your life. So talk
Listen,
about that.
you already answered the question, Biz Beth. Women are conditioned to ignore their symptoms. That's really what it is. When we hit our mid 40s, going into 50 and menopause, and we experience all of these different symptoms and ailments, our voices are muffled. We are silenced. And so when we are in that frustration, we began to create our own home remedies. We began to tinker around and talk to girlfriends. Hey, girl, I'm experiencing acid reflux. Girl, you too, me too. And so
Mhm.
it's by having close community that we're able to share what works, what doesn't work. And I think that we're not back then we were more community based, so we had that conversation. But now with so many things and people just relying on what Google says,
Right.
what you says, that they're going to them first. And
Mhm.
it needs to start in house, right? It needs to start with us first. The conversation, so that our daughters don't have to struggle, our community don't have to struggle. It's understanding what our experiences are so that we can create our own little pot of what's best for us. So
Right.
that was one of the main components. And then just creating a self-care routines, awareness, understanding what it is that we're all different. We may have some of the same symptoms. What works for your hair don't work for my hair.
Yeah.
And we all have been there where we said, girl, get this, or girl, buy that soup, or eat that,
Yeah.
eat bread after you eat your fish. And so what works for you may not work for me. And so being able to not just raise awareness and not just create routines, but it's having the community conversations
Mhm.
that we'll know if it doesn't work, if it doesn't fit right for you, it's okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
If it doesn't fit right for them, it's okay. Let's come together so we can just determine what works best. And
Right.
those are just some of the ways that it adds into what the program does, the body flow method. It creates community,
Mhm.
safe places, so women feel heard. Our voices are muffled. We feel seen. We've been in the background
Right.
for years. We've been
Yeah.
in the background for years. And it's time that we come to the forefront and allow our voices to be heard, our faces to be seen, and to love on one another in a way that's meaningful and that matters. Our
Mhm.
voices, and it's time to make things like that happen. So on a wellness level, it's understanding how to take action,
Mhm.
understanding how to create self-care routines for ourselves, whether it's morning routines,
Mhm.
evening routines, how to take a break, how to check in.
Yes.
Most people don't check in
Not at all. And
at
it's
all. We go,
crucial.
we go from like, you leave work, you already thinking what I gotta cook, what I gotta
Mhm.
see, what stops I gotta make. In addition, because Black women culturally experience many more disadvantages in the healthcare field than our counterpart, it's really important that we come together, we share information, we not only research together, but we also create common ground so that we can really just help each other out.
Mhm.
We have to help one another. And I'm really concerned about our next generation, giving our young girls an opportunity to know what to look forward to
Mhm.
when they reach different health challenges, and health stages, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, they're all very different. Mindset is different. Yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic. I think that it's so important, like you said, to having this community of Black women who you can go to, you can feel connected with and feel the support of, because the people who've gone before you, they can reach back and say, hey, this is what to look for. This is how, these are things you can do, things that you can use, and making it so accessible, because a lot of times, like you said, healthcare for us is not always accessible. We
Nope.
struggle to even just get appointments. And then you get the appointment, it's months out. And then
Months out.
yeah, and then it may not be, it may during business hours where you're pressured to be at work because you have
Mhm.
this project going on, you got these responsibilities, et cetera, et
Right.
cetera. So it's just not as accessible. And with that being said,
And
that
then trust as well is huge. Trust.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. That and just the pressure that you feel to always be on, always be doing more than you probably really need to do with the health disparities, and it adds to the anxiety you already feel about your body and what's happening, not having the answers and not feeling like you can even trust yourself to know what's going on, trust
Mhm.
the health system to help you figure out what's going on, feeling
That's
like
right.
you are even connected and that they
Mhm.
care at the same level as they care for others. That's been like even one of my personal things. And one of the reasons why I advocate so much for being a self advocate and
Right.
knowing your body. So let's talk a little bit about knowing your body, because
Uh,
if you don't know your body, you can't really be, you're not aware of what's
mhm.
really, and that little twinge here, that little ache there, is like you ignore,
Mhm.
like you mentioned before. So let's talk about knowing your body and knowing and gathering wisdom about your own body.
Yes, yes. Sam, I struggled with anxiety for so long and did not realize that's what it was.
Mhm.
And in my 20s, and I was carrying such a heavy load. I was full time in school. I had a part-time job, I had a relationship that I was in, and I had other responsibilities, church and otherwise. And I began to feel my heart racing, and it just would come out of nowhere. My heart
Mhm.
started racing, and I would develop my own routine of managing it. I didn't
Mhm.
know. Once I would feel for my pulse and I would start talking to someone, whoever, it could be a stranger,
Mhm.
and started talking to someone, the panic would subside. I didn't know
Mhm.
that's what it was. But
Mhm.
girl, one day the panic didn't subside. And
Mhm.
I'm feeling for my pulse and I'm talking and no one's responding. And I just started freaking out. And it
Mhm.
was, and that was, and sometimes things happen, not sometimes, you go through things so that it can be remedied, right?
Mhm.
You go
Mhm.
through these dark valleys so that you can come to the light of your
Right.
situation. And dealing with that panic, when I went to the doctor, he wanted to prescribe medication without even asking any questions. He just wanted to prescribe stuff. And I said, you know what? We're going to have to do something different. And that began that trajectory of managing anxiety, dealing with panic, knowing that if your heart starts racing, there's what that means. And I didn't until in my 40s really began to understand what the body is doing and how it's connected to emotional suppression. I'm
Mhm.
suppressing things that I wasn't really dealing with. Anger is not feeling that my nervous system was regulated or not being able to communicate my needs. And
Mhm.
when your body starts going through these things, I would get angry. And instead of really understanding how to go into a mindful breathing, I didn't know anything about that. They weren't talking about mindfulness or
Right.
meditation that well in that way.
Mhm.
I heard of yoga, but I didn't understand what, and this was 30s, like in my 20s and 30s and into my 40s. That wasn't really prominent in our community. So when your body is what there's a very popular book called that the body keeps the score. And your body keeps score of every emotion, every situation, every trauma that your body keeps the score. And it wasn't until stumbling upon that it just enhanced my study about the brain and knowing that what signs to look for when I'm not feeling regulated, if this is not a good day. So knowing is one thing, but being able to do something about it is a totally different skill that I had to learn separately. Yes, I'm feeling panicked, but being brave enough and having the courage to say, today is not a good day. We're once again so conditioned to push through, keep going.
Yes.
That it does such a disservice to not just Black women, all women, but particular because we're carrying the weight of not just our own burdens, the burden of our parents, the burdens from our community, and all the things that we were told we were supposed to do, all of the societal pressures, as you mentioned. So yeah, the body keeps score of every single thing. Yeah.
And not just from, like you said, not just from a present day, but an epigenetic score as well. I think we don't take that into consideration. Like, why my neck be hurt? What?
Yes. All the ancestors. Let me tell you, all of the women on my mother's side of the family, every single one has had hysterectomies.
Oh, wow.
Single one. Every single one. And it was like, not to say a badge of honor, but it was more like, okay, you're about 35. Yeah, you should be getting ready to have your hysterectomy. So that was the conversation, that this was something that was normal, that at a certain point in your journey, you're going to have a hysterectomy. That's normal. That was the conversation. Oh, yeah, absolutely. My mom had, my aunts, they had irregular periods and irregular bleeding, and it was normal. All my cousins, all of them.
I guess normal. That's similar to families who have high blood pressure, families who have kidney issues, families who they're susceptible to stroke or breast cancer or whatever. It's like those different things that run through families, as it were. And then almost like, because you see this pattern, it's almost like you feel helpless to do anything about it. And so this taking back control of your health story is important. And I think that takes some intentionality, because if you're not intentional about it, then you're just going to just let it happen, as it were. You're not going to put any safeguards in place. You won't change your diet. You won't move more. You won't trust yourself more than you trust the doctors or whatever. And allow these things to just overtake you versus creating a life jacket or vessel to rescue that from that fate, as it were.
Absolutely. That's so well said, Sam. Yeah, that's perfectly said. Yeah, the intention in knowing that I need to do something different. I have to do something different. And then that adds on to the irritable bowel syndrome and all the gut issues, and knowledge about how our gut is our first brain, tells us what is happening before it even gets to the brain. And being able to trust your intuition, being able to trust when you get that sense that something's not right. We've been, once again, conditioned to ignore that.
Yeah.
The rite of passage at this point is us, as, and we talk about it all the time, as Gen Xers, is really holding up this baton and passing on the knowledge and passing on, empowering the next generation to not give in to society pressures. And you can do something different. You can choose a different diet, right? You don't live in this situation. And not only that, because we grew up hearing you could do anything, or you can be anything. But we didn't have the representation. Representation matters. Matters. You can't tell me that. And my thing was being a dancer. I wanted to be a like nobody's business. But it wasn't until in the 80s, it was actually 1980 that I first saw the show Fame. And
Uh-huh.
when I Debbie Allen and Gene Anthony Ray, I used to love
Right.
him. And when I saw those characters in Fame, and Fame took place at a school right there in New York, and I cousins who actually went to those schools, it just something leaped in my spirit that said, this is really something that's possible. And so the representation matters for all the things that we go through in our body, and being able to connect to people who have gone the path, who dealt with the things, who are not afraid to talk about it, who will be open and honest in having these conversations. Come on, stop telling them that you came from a store and tell them the real deal. It's all those things. Intuition plays a huge component in our self-care. And you don't feel your best, and you say to yourself, you know what, I think I need to rest today, and not feel bad about it, because that's the other part. Not feel bad about resting.
That part. And I'm so glad you said that, because like you said, we've been conditioned, programmed to believe that we must always be on, always doing in order to be right.
If you sit down and you're being shiftless,
lazy.
Girl, it wasn't until a few years ago that I was able to really regulate my nervous system to the point that I wasn't ashamed to sit. And if, let's say, a supervisor passed by or someone of authority passed by and I was sitting, oh my God, I'll just start
breaking your neck,
shuffling papers and get up and moving. Like there was something wrong. You know what I mean? That is part of the conditioning.
And the trauma.
That's trauma. That is a trauma response. And it wasn't until learning about fight, flight, freeze, and fawn that we were able to really understand in the vocabulary of self-care, the vocabulary of self-worth, the vocabulary of self-healing.
Yes.
That we're able to really take that and do something to action. So this really powerful to not just know better.
That part. And that, again, I call it like wisdom that we acquire, because we can be knowledgeable all day long. Wisdom is being able to put that knowledge into action and with intentionality, so that we can create our own reality from a mental, emotional, spiritual, physical perspective. And as we, I think, harness the power we already have, because we have power, it's wild power. We got wild power. It's dispersed everywhere. But until we're able to bring it all back in and focus it on ourselves and our bodies for our health, in every aspect of our health, then we will continue to stagnate and continue to give our power away to every circumstance, every person, every institution, all these different places. And we can't pull it in because we've been taught not to trust ourselves, number one. Taught to believe more in what is someone else is saying about us, the labels they place on us, the service they decide to give or not give us, keep us distracted from what's really powerful and magnetic in ourselves, so that we're just like, oh, I'm just another person. I'm insignificant. My health really doesn't matter. And this anxiety that I feel every single day that's driving me crazy, that's running my blood pressure up and making my stomach hurt. Oh, it's just par for the course. That's just how it is. No, ma'am.
Thinking 115. No, we're not. No, and we've learned the power of no.
Exactly.
Girl, the power of no. That's a powerful word. No is a thing.
And then, we talk about epigenetics and everything, and how from our ancestral history, where we weren't allowed to say no. We weren't allowed to take care of ourselves. We weren't allowed to seek medical assistance. We weren't allowed
to
I'm sorry.
speak up and say doesn't feel, that's not good for me. I was a grown woman, big with grown kids before I was really felt confident within myself to say, that's not good for me.
That, not at all.
That's
And
not
having
good.
to
Mm.
having to,
Mhm.
to muster up the courage to even say that when you're like, you're a grown ass woman.
Grown, grown, pay bills, and not able to say that is not good for me because it was either my way or the highway. We either grew up, it's either my way or the highway.
Right.
So it's if you're not following what I say do, it's gonna be it's a fight.
It's
So my frame of reference was that if you don't do what I say, then that means that you're being disrespectful. So I passed that on. And in my parenting was some of the things that I had to relearn and reparent myself and allow that my children to say, you know what, this doesn't work for me and not get upset about it.
that part.
You know?
Because, go ahead.
No, yeah, no, you're right. You go
Because
because
it's all about control, really, and
it's
who's controlling whom, and
mm-hmm.
whether it's our bodies, whether it's our decisions, whether it's our spirituality, whether it's our money, whether it's our minds, it's all a people grabbing for the power that we
Mm-hmm.
have for their
Mm-hmm.
own use. And it's
Right.
like part of that. And so we're learning
Right.
that when my body says it's tired, I'm gonna sit down
I'm
somewhere.
going to respect that. I'm going to respect what my body says. I need to sit down and close my eyes. And like you said about intentionality, and then being able to take the next step. My body's not feeling, I need to rest. I'm going to make the decision to do this next. And
Mhm.
that's going to be. So being able to do from one step to the next step and follow through on that is a skill. That's
Yes.
something that you don't figure that out. You have to learn how to take your health,
Mhm.
wellness, take the responsibility, take accountability for who you are, and then follow through and take action on it.
Mhm.
And we're just talking about learning who you are,
Yes.
the magic of really loving yourself.
Mhm.
Loving yourself is knowing yourself is loving yourself.
Yes. Absolutely.
Love your neighbor as you love yourself. But
Mhm.
in that the key part is loving yourself first.
Loving yourself
You
first.
can't love your neighbor unless you love yourself.
That
And we
part.
were raised to love our neighbors more than we love ourselves. So we're changing the narrative. We're changing the dynamics. We're changing what friendships look like. We're changing what relationships look like, right? And once we love ourselves, it then changes what love looks like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How you can meet someone that you never knew from a can of paint in less than a month or a year or 2 years in our case, and
Mm-hmm.
love so deeply more than your blood family,
Right.
and being
Absolutely.
okay with that, right? Not thinking that strange that we are all connected. We are
Mm-hmm.
deep connected with one another, and being able to not just acknowledge that, but being able to surrender to that,
Mm-hmm.
surrender to the love that we really have in there inherently for one another. Afraid to show it. That's
Mm-hmm.
the part right there. Being
Yeah.
able to show that love to
Yeah.
someone else and not look for anything in return. Not
Absolutely.
seeking anything. Love is not self-seeking. Love ain't counting up all the wrongs.
Oh my God. Because the foundation, the least common denominator is I love myself. And that
Right.
is enough. And I don't need to take score, seek reciprocation or anything because I have enough in here for me. And what I gave, and I was thinking about this last night, it was like, I just see myself as this cup
Mm,
and I am it's 'cause like, I love how you always say flow like water. It was like I was just visualizing my cup is filled to flowing and overflow. So only thing I know is flow and overflow, because I am not going to let myself be depleted
Right.
anymore. And that
Anymore.
flow, that's just the love that I have. Love, it's filled to the top is for me. The overflow is for everyone else.
Else. And in order to get to that place, you have to tap in
Yeah.
every day, creating routines where
Hmm.
you tap in and ask yourself these questions. How am I feeling today?
Hmm.
How am I feeling today? Did I
Right.
get enough sleep last night? And if I didn't, then what can I do today so that I can catch up with that? Or
Hmm.
what do I need to do today to serve from that overflow? What do I need to do in order to contribute to fill myself up so that I'm expecting this or I'm doing this tomorrow, next day, so that I can be prepared
Hmm.
for the next step in my journey?
Right.
And then being able to honor that.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's it. Just being able to honor what you pick up, what you're receiving, and
Right.
listen for the response. Once you ask the question, you got to listen for
Listen.
the response
Hmm. Hmm.
and honor that,
Yeah.
honor the response. So it takes practice.
Hmm.
It's a skill that you have to learn how to do because we were not really raised to love ourselves like that.
Yeah.
You don't realize you didn't love yourself until you really start loving yourself.
Hmm. Hmm.
You start saying, you know what? I didn't like the way I didn't like that experience.
Hmm.
And I'm going to not subject myself to that again and not
Yes.
have a conversation and not feel like you need to wave a flag from the hilltop and say, I'm not going to do that no more with you.
Just keep it to yourself.
Just keep it to yourself and move accordingly.
Yes. And
Move
that's part of
accordingly.
self-honor, self-compassion, self-trust, which is all culminated in self-love. And so these are just different elements of the
Right.
behavior that self-love is.
That's
And
right.
I just love how even in your business, as you evolved in these last 2 years I've known you, and it's me learning about Fleek Fitness and what that's all about and making people feel good through dance. And then
Mm-hmm.
as you evolved through learning about somatic movement, and when we went to Bali, because we went to Bali, y'all, we went to Bali and we had a great time in with our group of women who LaShauna, she did an exercise with us that was so impactful to me. I still remember it, where we were
Really?
working through the chakras through dance
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and how feeling our way through the chakras from the root to the crown. It's just wow. I get to create these movements for myself to recenter myself, to
Mm-hmm.
connect with myself and to
Mm-hmm.
heal myself. And that
Right.
was so impactful. And so I would just love for you in our last few minutes to just share more about the body flow method and
Mm-hmm.
how it went from Fleek Fitness to what you're doing now, creating that program, so that people can understand that you truly can be your own healer
Mm-hmm.
and you have the tools to help them get there and to be able to create that healing experience.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Sam. And I appreciate you sharing that. This journey has been so incredible. And when I started out with Fleek Fitness by Shonna, it was more about working out, just cardio, dancing. And as I mentioned, I've been doing somatic movement without realizing that was the name of the way that I would move in order to get in alignment with what my body was feeling and just recenter the energy in my body. And it wasn't until I met with a mentor and I started taking some courses that I understood that concept and then began to think about how do I want to make this come alive in my practice? Like, how do I want to allow women to use the wisdom of their body to heal themselves, right? And it just began to one layer upon layer begin to transform into something different. It turned into using mindful movement and using meditation, layering that on top of understanding the body energy and how to retrain the brain to overcome anxiety and issues with the gut to and it layered on top of one another until it became a program, a course that I created in order to show women how to heal themselves, to teach women how to use mindful movement, how to create routine, having awareness, and then from there, create their own programs and changing the narrative from the traumas that they may have had in their past to reliving and creating a new narrative for the story that they want to share now. There's a story in all of us. There's a past in all of us. And unless you are willing to feel that and through it and create capacity in your body so that you can hold those emotions and not run away from it, you're not going to heal. You're not going to be able to move into another stage of loving yourself because there's always going to be a message in the back of your mind saying, I'm not good enough and this is not going to work. And you have all the skills in the world. I was sharing with someone that I've paid thousands of dollars to learn these different skills, but it wasn't until I did the work on me through using movement, through regulating my nervous system, teaching that, how to tap into your emotional intelligence. And so Body Flow Method, it's bringing all of those pieces into a 5-week course, an 8-week course. And what's different about the Body Flow Method than any other somatic movement program is that we walk the bridge with you. We are walking this journey with you. And a lot of times people, they'll tell you what to do. Hey, you do that, do this, do that. And then once you're left on your own, you don't know what to do. What do I do next? How do I do that? Yeah. And the Body Flow Method offers is the opportunity to come together as community, to celebrate often, to understand your own personal wisdom, your own personal routine, and then walk you. And I always liken it as to walking you across the bridge to liberation, to feeling limitless, to understanding that there's limited possibilities, right? And that you can have long lasting, not just physical health, but mental fitness, knowing what to do when you're triggered, knowing what to do and knowing, did you know that emotions only last for 90 seconds? But if you don't know how to sit with that emotion until it passes, you'll do something else. Those are some components of what I teach in the Body Flow Method. And like you mentioned, flow like water, live fully, and just allow things to come and they will pass and not fight the current. We've been so long, we don't know how to just relax and just let things be and let things come to us. Let them flow to us as we embrace our power, our newness, our new story, and then having the confidence in community to share that story with others.
Absolutely. I love that. That's why I'm so excited about this program. So how can they actually sign up for the program, where they need to go, and then also how can they connect with you you have a newsletter, you of course do Facebook posts and blogging too. So just first, how can they get connected with the Body Flow Method, and then how can they connect with you?
Awesome. So you can connect with the Bodyflow Method by going to our website, www.bodyflowmethod.com, and you are gifted with a video that is a mini training. It tells you the tips on what you can do today to begin the healing journey. And you also receive a PDF copy that shows you how you can identify those triggers. Like, what are the triggers and what are the areas in your life that trigger you most, and what you can do to identify what those are and then move through that. And you can schedule a talk with me to connect with me, and we can talk about next steps. We can talk about the program and how the program can work for you and support you on your healing journey. You can also find me on Instagram at the Bodyflow Method, and also at Fleek Fitness by Shonna, Fleek Fitness by Shonna, which is where I talk mostly about lifestyle and just living a life of liberation. And just the things that we do when we go on our trips and our retreats and the programs and the workshops, and just the many examples of times that we're bringing the Body Flow Method to the forefront. And also on Facebook at Fleek Fitness by Shonna and the Body Flow Method. Yeah.
Absolutely. And she's on Instagram as well. So Fleek
Mm-hmm.
Fitness by Shauna, Body Flow Method on
Right.
Instagram as well. There
Yes.
is application process to join her program. So keep that in mind. Many are called, few are chosen, because it does take dedication and commitment for your own health in order
Mm-hmm.
to join this program, because she wants people in there who are going to do the work, show up for themselves so that she can give her very best to you. So I just wanted to point that out, because I think that a lot of people want to be in a program, but they don't want to do the work. You got
That
to do
part.
the work, and to do the work, you got to apply.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone wants to be healed, but they don't all want to take the journey.
Right.
It to the journey. And it is, I wish that I could tell you it's something that happens overnight. Transformation happens in series and in
Mm-hmm.
stages. And the method we offer to walk with you on the journey, but you have to show up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Show is half the battle.
Yes.
And show up for yourself, and you make that commitment, then we are committed to walking with you all the way, all the
All the way.
all
Yes.
the way. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love, love, love this conversation that we just had. I know that there's so many women who have listened and who got some amazing nuggets,
Mm-hmm.
gems of wisdom from it. And not just, don't just listen, apply it. And if you have questions, contact Shauna, LaShauna
Mm-hmm.
Warren, on social media and her website.
Right.
And the information will be in the description below. So tap in to your own
Yeah.
health.
Yeah.
And
And the newsletter, I'm sorry I didn't mention the
yes.
news specifically, but I do send out weekly newsletters through Fleek Fitness by Shonna. And yeah, I love just connecting with the community and doing surveys to determine what do you want to see more of? What do you
Mhm.
want to hear from me? And just determining ways that I can just pour back into the community, because there are women who are struggling, and
Mhm.
we need to be there to support. And silently, some are suffering. We need to
Mhm.
extend the olive branch so that they know that there's a place that you can come. There's no judgment. Come as you are, and let's take it from there. Start from zero.
Thank you so much, LaShauna, for being on my show, the Blissful Life podcast, because it is
Yes,
about creating a
you.
blissful life, and this is a pathway to that life. So thank you again for being on the show. You are
Thank
an
you.
amazing person. Also, I'm starting a series called Deliberate Rest, and
Okay.
where powerful women who are doing amazing things, they need rest. And so we're going to be talking about all the ways that you can rest and implement it into your life, so you can show up for yourself more powerfully, make more impact, but also with you in mind, because you are taking care of yourself and you are available. So
I love
make sure you keep a lookout for the Deliberate Rest series, because we're starting a rest revolution here. And
listen. Muumuus. Can we rest and we wear our muumuus?
Yes, we can rest in our
Bring
muumuus.
with our muumuus on.
Our muumuus, our tea, chocolates, popcorn, whatever.
Yeah, popcorn, all of our bonnets. I don't know about bonnets, but I can put a bonnet. I got a bonnet just in case.
Be sure to tune in for that series, especially as we enter the holiday season. And it's right now it's in October, but the holiday season is coming when the frantic planning starts, and you probably going to feel like you don't know where you're coming or going. Integrating intentional rest into the holiday season from that point forward so that you can be in optimal health mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially.
Awesome.
So until the next time, have an amazing day, and we will see you again soon. Take care.